Flight 14 from Seattle, wind northwest 86 miles an hour at 15,000 feet.
Okay, Bill. Now passing over Canadian border, entering clouds, going on instruments, changing to Vancouver beam. Calling Vancouver, Flight 14, over Vancouver on instruments at 14,000 feet and climbing, heavy snow, visibility 0.
Flight 14 from Vancouver, cold front reported in vicinity of Ketchikan, moving southeast.
Army Interceptor Command calling all radio stations. Formation of unidentified plane sighted off coast. All radio stations must go off air immediately.
Flight 14 from Vancouver, silence your radio by order of Army Interceptor Command. Vancouver off.
Brush off your instruments, Raj. They pulled in the beam.
Charcoal, that's all.
She's icing up.
The icer froze years ago. I'm going to try and set her down.
Good luck, Rogers.
Going home, Blindy?
In winter, I have no home, only the snow. When spring comes, I will see again. Then I'll be able to button my coat straight and even.
Brady. Alaska, get Doc Brady. Get a room ready.
Who is the Yukon?
I don't know. Found him up near Little Creek. Badly hurt.
Rogers.
Plane crash.
Rogers. Plane crash. Yukon, there may be others.
He's right. We better get up a searching party.
I'll get some hot water.
What kept you so long?
Sorry, Jim. Yukon just brought in a man, a stranger, badly hurt. He mumbled something about a plane crash, and his name, Rogers. Doc Brady ought to be here in a little while.
They can get him away from that sick horse of Mitchell's.
How's the great inventor?
Don't laugh. If this works out, the Armstrong trap will be the best in the country. I'm only waiting for that strap to dry taut before doing some more work on it.
You've been cheating.
Well, I've got to win sometime.
I'll keep it a secret. How do you feel?
Fine. Now that you're here. The snow falling outside. Like hanging a curtain between us and the world. I guess we're shut in tight now. Till the spring thaw. You aren't cold, are you?
No. Now you better go to bed. I'll send Dad up to help you.
Not yet.
Good night, Jim. You're hurting me.
I didn't know. Good night, darling.
Hello, Sam.
Hiya, Doc.
Never saw no one fuss over a sick horse like you, Doc.
Well, you've never seen the looks in their eyes when the fever leaves them. They seem to know I'm saving them from the glue pot. Horses ain't as dumb as some humans I've met.
What's that? I'm human, ain't I?
Stranger's pretty bad, Doc.
Thanks, Sam.
Well, I ain't anchoring off for a funeral these days. Ground is too hard.
Never heard a horse express it just like that.
Oh, Doctor, I'm so glad you've come.
Oh, he's alive, ain't he?
Still unconscious.
Good. Won't have to use any anesthetic then. Some hot water and some bandages.
The water's already on.
Fine. Where is he?
I'll show you.
Peg, I want you to change the dressing in the morning.
Then there's nothing to worry about.
Oh, he's unconscious. No wonder he's got a lump in the back of his head the size of your fist. Sam, I always seem to get more satisfaction out of your tobacco. Seems to make my own last longer. Well, I'll be back in a couple of days. Jenkins' cow's got a mad milk fever. He needs watching over. Well, there's no more patients here. Guess we'll have a look in at Jim. Well, how's everything, Jim?
Kind of losing the feeling in my right leg, Doc.
Massages help any?
For a while, but sometimes the pain gets... Now I know how a tree must feel when an axe cracks it.
But outside the pain, it's not so bad up here, is it?
No, Doc, it isn't.
Well, I'll fix up some more medicine for you. It's a good painkiller.
Thanks, Doc. Good night.
Good night, Jim.
How is he, Doc?
I just finished studying a new book on cases like his. They're all the same. Nothing to do but pray, I guess. That always helps when the doctor ain't got no more tether.
If prayers had cured, Jim would have been mended long ago.
Maybe if Jim did a little praying himself. Inside of him, I mean, to get well. Maybe that would help.
Sounds like you mean he doesn't want to get well.
Meant it to, Sam. Meant it to.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You had us a bit worried.
But
You're at Armstrong's trading post. One of the boys brought you in.
I remember I crashed a plane. Someone else was with me.
We sent out a searching party, and they found the plane. There was a man in it, dead.
Dead? Where did you say we are?
Armstrong's trading post. The nearest town is Moosehead, Alaska. That's 187 miles away. Even if it were near, it wouldn't make any difference because, well, we're snowed in until spring. There. That's better. Does it still hurt very much?
It's better, thanks.
That's good, Mr. Rogers.
Roger.
No, we haven't been reading your mail. But you had a moment of consciousness when you told us about the plane crash. Your name.
Oh, I couldn't. I didn't.
And I'm Peggy Campbell. Now, not another word. I'll be right back.
Oh, Miss Campbell.
Yes?
I think you ought to know.
You've talked enough now. I'll bring you your breakfast, Mr. Rogers.
Rogers. Snowed in until spring.
Has Jim said anything much to you lately, Peg?
About what, Sam?
About himself. Seems like I remember how he used to be sick-hearted and worrying about not being able to get around when he was first laid up. But somehow he doesn't seem to care about it anymore. If I didn't know better, I'd think he kind of likes it, being in that wheelchair.
Well, he's just trying to make the best of it. I think he's being wonderful.
You've been wonderful, too. To him, I mean. Jim always had a hankering for you ever since you've been knee-high to a sled. But you know what's happened, Peg?
What?
I think he's fallen plumb in love with you.
Sam. Jim and I like each other. We like each other a lot, but... Love? No, Jim isn't in love with me.
I ain't saying one way or the other.
No, you're just imagining. Sam, will you take Jim's breakfast up to him? I've got to fix Mr. Rogers' dressing.
Sure. One thing is certain. Jim ain't lost his appetite.
Born nurse, aren't you?
What makes you say that?
Oh, it's just the way you have of doing little things. As if they were very big and important.
Maybe you haven't had enough experience with nurses.
Oh, I've had a great deal. All the way from Edinburgh to San Francisco by way of New York.
Really? I didn't know nurses were your specialty.
Well, I didn't exactly mean it that way. You see, occasionally I sold shoes for a living. Flat-heel shoes. The kind nurses wear.
That explains it. Now it's time to change your dressing.
Oh, I've already changed it.
You're the patient, not the doctor. Or maybe you sew bandages, too.
No, Miss Campbell.
I'm not used to being called Miss Campbell. It seems kind of like putting on a dinner gown.
Shall it be just nurse?
Just Peg.
Just Peg it shall be.
And what'll I call you?
John. John Rogers.
It's a nice name. John Rogers. Will you have some more coffee?
Thanks, Peg.
You're welcome, John.
Why don't you eat those flannel cakes, son? They're mighty tasty.
I still don't see why Peg didn't bring up my breakfast like every morning.
Told you, son. You had to take care of this Mr. Rogers.
What kind of a fellow is he, Pop?
Tell the truth, I haven't had much more than a peek at him. Got a good pair of shoulders, though.
Remember when I could fell timber twice as fast as anyone?
Sure do. Got a lot of pride on you.
Can't no more. When you were laid up with that sprained leg, Peg always brought me my breakfast before she did anything else.
Oh, you were jealous, dang it, just like a young'un. Hug with her, Jim.
I am. And don't you say anything to her.
I won't. But what about her?
Pop, I think she's in love with me, too. I can tell it. The way she does things for me. Little things like she meant them.
Thanks for the souvenir from Dr. Brady. He's a grand fellow. Your troubadour is back again.
Poor Blondie. It's the same every winter. The snow blinds him. Somehow I feel he can see so much clearer than the rest of us.
infernal noise? Sorry, Blindy. I didn't mean it. Cigarette?
Blind men don't smoke.
You go right ahead. Play that as much as you want.
No. I didn't kill your son. I didn't.
I must have been dreaming.
About the plane crash, John?
No, not about the crash. It's good to see you here, Peg.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doctor.
Well, how's the patient this morning?
Fine.
Peg. Jim will be needing some help on the inventory.
Never should have used these on Jenkins' cow. Old boss is pretty tough.
Where have you been?
Downstairs.
Cross-cut double-handed saws. A high carbon blade. There's plenty of whip in them. Number 832, 2 dozen. Hey, wake up. Daydreaming?
No, I was just thinking of something.
Number 832, saws, 2 dozen.
We're running low on 12-gauge shells.
Enough to hold us till spring, I guess. I sure would like to pump some into a flight of geese the way I used to.
Happy then, weren't you, Jim?
Oh, I wasn't really. Because I've got one thing now I never had then.
What's that?
You, Peg. Down, Wolf, down. Come in.
How are you, Jim?
A little tired sitting, but that's all.
Doc Brady wants you, Miss Peg. He's with Rogers.
Oh, I'll be right back.
She sure don't waste no time getting out of here.
What do you mean?
You ain't seen this Rogers. What a man.
Dr. Brady was just complimenting you on your bandaging, Peg.
Well, I didn't do it. Remember, you fixed it.
Oh, I just loosened it a little. She's modest.
It makes no difference because you won't be needing it anymore. It's all right.
You mean I'm discharged?
As a patient, yes. But I'm coming around to collect my fee.
Well, I'm afraid you'll have to wait until spring, till I can get out of here. My money was in the plane.
Be me off in conversation. Ain't often we have a stranger spend the winter here. And by now, I know every word the rest of them up here say.
That's not being very nice, Doctor.
No, dang the truth. It's always got a sharp edge to it.
Is that why you wanted me? Just to stab me in the back?
No need talking to you. Just looking is satisfying enough. I want you to pick out a birthday present. Something warm for Bessie. Maybe a belly band. Bessie's a calf.
Oh?
Yeah, you better get some pants and things for your patient here. He'd look sort of jumpy running around in that nightgown he's wearing.
Amazing girl to find a place like this.
Yeah, what'd you expect to find? Cannibals?
Peg's parents live up here?
Ain't got none. The father brought her here when she was just about weaned. So you're one of those flying fellas, huh?
That's right. She work here?
Who's that?
Peg.
I wouldn't exactly say she works here.
Who?
What you inquiring about Peg?
Oh, just casually.
Well, you can get out of bed now.
Those are sweet words, Doctor.
Well, you know, you remind me of Bess. Look.
Are you laughing at me in the nightgown?
You in the
Well, you better
nightgown.
give me my pants. They'll probably fit better than this.
Any fit'd be better.
I found a beautiful pink flannel belly band for Bessie.
Just what she needs. Well, we'll believe you to dress.
Well, thanks for everything, Doctor.
Don't mention it. Just wrap that in a nice fancy paper so Bess will appreciate it.
What Doc Brady want?
Present for a new calf.
Took you a long time to get it.
No, that wasn't all. Rogers is better. I had to get him some new clothes. You ought to have seen him in his nightgown.
I hope I'll find him just as funny when I meet him.
Well, I saw a funny sight and I laughed.
But he doesn't always seem so comical to you. Half your conversation these last few days has been about him. Well, I'm not interested. I don't want to hear any more about him. No more, do you hear? Peg, where are you going?
Downstairs until you realize how you've been carrying on.
I've got a good reason, haven't I? Why should I have to sit here and listen to you talk about him all the time?
You're just being childish. Why did you do this, Jim?
It's a good way to get you back, wasn't it? I'm sorry, Peg, for saying what I did, but sometimes something happens inside of me.
Happens to all of us sometimes. I ought to make you mop it up.
I wish I could.
Here's the cloth.
Watch out.
God. Why, Jim?
It's nothing to worry about now, Peg. I got it when I first became sick. I didn't want to live very much then. It reminds me of something. Well, anyway, I beat it once.
I'm going to take it right out.
Give it to me, Peg.
You don't need it anymore.
I want it. While I have this, I'm as strong as any man. And while I have it, nobody can defeat me. Nobody.
Well, this is like a chapter out of Lost Horizon. Doctor, room and board, and a charming nurse who turns out to be a magnificent cook. I've never tasted such coffee.
Maybe that's just because you're feeling better.
You know, I don't know how I'll ever be able to repay you for all this.
By not mentioning it. Up here, an injured man's got to be taken in. There's no thanks coming. He gets the same as everybody else, but no more. Jim says he's got a lot of work in the morning. You'll have time now to help him, as long as he's mended.
Yes, Sam, I will.
You can close the post tonight as soon as the dishes are done. I'm kind of tuckered out. Gonna turn in. Good night, Peg.
Good night.
Good night, Sam.
Good night. Glad you're better.
Thanks, Sam. If he were as tough as his words, I'd be lying out there frozen stiff.
You'll never meet a finer man than Sam. He seemed a little upset tonight.
Oh. Here, let me help you. Like working your way through college.
I thought you said you were a good closer-upper.
A tower of ivory, built of snow.
Sometimes I feel I can actually touch the beauty of it.
You've been here practically all your life, haven't you?
Ever since my father was killed by a falling tree. And Sam, he was my father's partner. Inherited me with a couple of bad debts he paid off.
Don't you ever get the urge to leave?
Of course I do. Do you realize I've never been to a concert in my life? I've never seen a curtain go up on a show. I've never seen a building that had an elevator in it. Tell me about them.
Where shall I start? With the hard pavement under your feet? With your nostrils choked up with gasoline? With your eyes filled with the sight of 1,000 other eyes and people you don't know? All marching by, dulled with fright.
It isn't fair to rub the glamour away.
Not glamour. Tinsel, hiding dirt.
You sound as if there's something back there you're running away from.
Well, aren't we all running away from something? From life, perhaps?
Is it that makes you so bitter about the city?
Oh, I'm not bitter. But I'm not blinded. There's something up here that the city has lost. Every city. Peg, who's Jim?
Well, I thought you knew. He's Sam's boy.
I'll need some iron. A pair of sharp scissors, not too large. Needle, cat cut, and some bandage.
All right.
Here. This. Slowly.
Mr. Brady, Wolf's leg's been torn.
Take care of Wolf. What happened?
Wolf pulled the trap off the table, got his leg caught in it.
You want this. Slowly. Oh, easy. That's right. That's it. Come here, boy. Come. That's it. Get me some light, please. Lamp. Hey, boy.
So you're Rogers.
That's right. And you're Jim.
Thanks. Thanks very much.
Perhaps because of my first day here. I don't know.
Joey, please. Good night.
Oh, Peg. I'll tell you. I was once a very well-known member of the medical profession. The brilliant Dr. Mandray. An outstanding authority on the brain.
Mandray?
Yes. Rogers died in the crash.
Oh.
And you gave me his name. I was once the chief surgeon of one of the finest hospitals in the country. But I made a mistake. I believed in integrity.
I don't understand.
It's not easy to. Once I had a friend, two friends in fact, the best a man could have, a husband and his wife. He became very ill with a disease that I'd spent many years of research on. Disease whose only end was death. And then I thought I found it. A way to defeat it, to heal its victims. Well, I decided to operate on him. About an hour before the operation, Dr. Rexner, who was chief of staff and colleague, good friend of mine, asked me to step into my office at the hospital.
John, Mother insisted the Dr. Rexner speak with you.
You must not operate, John. You mustn't.
I agree with Mr. Patient is certain that the operation will result in death. You recall what Dr. Rowland said? His insistence that it would be criminal to operate.
And I say it would be criminal not to. Carl is withering away. He may live a year, perhaps maybe 6 months. I'm positive that these cases have been condemned as incurable because no surgeon is willing to chance this type removal. I'm going to chance it.
I'm not going to permit you to experiment with my son. You're his best friend.
That's why I'm going to do everything in my power to save his life. But don't you realize that there are more lives involved in this than just cost? Lives of hundreds all over the world who were inflicted with this identical malady. A cure for will be a cure for all.
I'm not interested in others. Carl is alive now. That's all I care about. And you're trying to take him from me, my son.
You know the consensus, John, that your theory is, well, just theory.
Paul, it is my opinion that Carl can be cured, made a well man again.
Dr. Mandray, the patient is ready.
Thank you, nurse.
No, John, please. I forbid it. He's my son. I have a right, and I want him, even for 6 months.
But I'm his wife, and I have a right to him, alive and strong. And if I know Carl, and often a wife can see deeper into her husband than a mother can a son, he'd want this one chance to be taken. That's why I've given my permission for the operation. Please, have confidence in John. The confidence I have in him.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you very much. Excuse me.
I do not want to jeopardize our friendship, John. But I've heard some very disturbing talk about you and Ray.
Ray? You mean Carl's wife and myself?
I know I'm treading on a dangerous ground. But, well, there has been talk. That's all I can say.
Well, that's preposterous. It's too ridiculous even to protest.
I'm not questioning you a bit, John. You are taking your entire career in your hands, John. You know that.
Yes, I knew.
And did you operate?
Nothing could have prevented me. But in all my wildest nightmares, I couldn't picture what I was to go through that next hour. Every stroke of the knife cut into my brain. Every thought thundered in my head. I'll never be able to drive that night from my memory. The light beating down on the man whose life I had willed to save.
Retractor. Hemistine. Black silk sutures. Sponge. Respiration. Any sign of shock?
None.
Pulse?
Irregular.
I think Carl will be all right. Oh, come now. Isn't one patient in the Langton family enough?
May I see Carl now?
In a few hours. In the meantime, I'm going to prescribe a healthy dose of sleep for both of you.
Dr. Mandry, the respiratory system is collapsed.
Something impelled me to turn and encourage Carl's mother. But I never spoke those words. For I saw a look at Ray. A look of hate, of horrible accusation.
You were never his friend. You knew this would happen. That's why she gave you permission to operate. She didn't want him anymore. But I wanted him. Wanted him as he was. You had no right to kill him. But you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it.
She accused me of malpractice. I was brought to trial.
Horrible, John.
There comes a time when suffering becomes cynicism. When your own colleagues become men of straw. Shortly after the trial, I was requested to meet with the board of directors at the hospital.
Every one of you here knows full well that Carl Langton did not die under the knife, but that his death was caused by his lack of vitality and shock.
This debate has gone far enough. There's another element to this matter, one which we, in common decency, did not care to bring up.
If any of you here believes that there is in the accusation against Mrs. Langton and myself, this is the time to express it.
You shall have my resignation in the morning. Just 2 words. My resignation. And a whole life discarded. That day I walked through the corridor for the last time.
Your appointment with the doctor is for 3:30. Oh, I see. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon, Ellen.
Shall I arrange it for tomorrow? Or you're taking a trip to the country? How nice. Yes. Yes, I'll explain it to the doctor. Goodbye. Age engagement's broken today. Such silly excuses. Who do they think you are, Frankenstein?
How can you blame them after reading this? This verdict of not guilty legalizes an operation known by the doctor to be fatal. A subtle method of committing murder.
Boy, that's where that belongs. I wish I had a better place just as convenient.
A few bats around here and some spider webs, and we'd have a haunted house. A deserted house, I should have said.
Why don't you take a holiday, Doctor? You haven't had one in years.
But my patients, You're right, Ellen. I am tired. I never realized until that moment how a man's office becomes a part of him. My diploma, my fraternity seal, my commission as a flight surgeon in the last war, my pilot's license, a new case of instruments I'd never used. And suddenly, as I touched them, I knew somehow that I would never use them. Never would use any instruments again.
Doctor, Mrs. Brooks and Mr. Fielding have canceled their appointments.
Even the old standbys. Ellen, I decided to take your advice.
Oh.
A holiday.
I'm so glad.
If by any chance anything should happen to me...
Happen to you?
I said if. I want you to turn over my books and case histories to the University Medical Library and give my instruments to some student.
Where are you going?
I don't know. And I didn't know. But suddenly, I don't know why. But I found the answer.
John, old sock, how are you?
Fine, Raj, fine.
Don't kid me, you're unraveled. I read newspapers, too. A rotten shame.
I've been reading about you. Been ferrying planes across the Atlantic, haven't you?
And pulling out soon for Vladivostok. Paying a transport.
The other side of the world. I envy you, Raj. One spin of the prop, and all the Earth's worries suddenly become those of millions of insects below.
You didn't go down here to call me a bug, did you?
No. I'm going to play around a bit up there myself.
Best tonic in the world. I'll get a ship for you.
Is Dixie Davis' old crate still hanging around?
That pilot junk? That ship's a groundhog. She'd pull apart if she ever fell in the air under her belly. Come on. Spill it to Papa.
There's nothing to spill.
Nothing but yourself, you mean, all over the landscape. You're flying blind, and it ain't the McCoy.
Well, when you reach the end of the line, best thing to do is to get off.
I reached it once, remember? Remember the accident where I killed Moon Olsen's stunt flying? Everybody put the rat on me. So the day they had me burning on the mast, I decided to black out in a ground crash. You know what I did instead? Took out a ship and broke the altitude record. Went up. A guy they wanted to brush off. Came down, one they wanted to pin medals on.
Well, I'm not interested in medals.
I'm not talking about medals, I'm talking about you. Now, I've had my say. And if you still want to rip a hole in a fleecy cloud with that pile of haywire, it's okay with me. Only, I've got a better angle, and it isn't handing you a loaded gun.
I'm listening.
Vladivostok with me. You still have your license? And a few brush-ups will put you right into the running. What do you say?
It's a deal. The rest you know. And that's why the city that is your dream is a constant nightmare to me. You see, no one trusted me. Somehow I began to mistrust myself.
I trust you, John, with all my heart. But you can't discard your own life the way one sheds an old coat. Here you can find a new place to hang it, right here.
What do you mean, Peg?
Dr. John Rogers. I can see the shingle hanging out in front.
Rogers?
Yes. Mandre is gone with all his fears.
Well, I hadn't thought of it quite that way. No, Peg. Not yet.
Soon, I hope.
And until then, let's keep it our secret, huh?
Feel good?
It's good. You ought to take lessons from Peg. She's got the knack for it.
Guess you mean the hands for it, don't you, son? Maybe mine are too much like leather.
Her hands are soft. I wish she'd come back soon.
You know Doc Brady. He must be telling her all about those calves over Judson's way. Or maybe Wolf's insisting on more exercise.
I guess so.
And don't you worry about Peg.
Well, she's been gone nearly 2 hours.
How am I getting along?
Improved 100% since the other day. We've taken so much time, though, you better go on to Doc Brady's for the medicine. I've got to go back to the post and fix dinner.
I'll be glad to. I always like to talk to the old doc. Whoa! I can't say I'm sorry, Peg, because I'm not.
Neither can I. It was unexpected, that's all.
Was it, Peg?
Well, no, it wasn't.
I threw the cork away when I opened this bottle, John.
Thanks. Well, Doctor, I managed a clean healing for Wolf. Not a trace of a limp.
I better watch out for you, John. I'm liable to wake up and find you competing with me.
Not a chance. I just happen to be a handyman with bandages.
Yeah, so I've noticed. I'll get Jim's medicine for you.
Take a deep breath, Wolf. The unforgettable perfume of the doctor's office. Seeps right into your soul.
Here it is, John. One more nip before you go. It's the best medicine in the world to keep the frostbite out of your belly. Yeah, if only the stuff in this bottle could be as effective.
What is it, Doctor?
Oh, something to ease his pain a bit. Not that it helps him any.
Jim's in a bad way, isn't he?
A way that leads in only one direction.
You sure, Doctor?
Sure as your name is Rogers. Yeah, wait a minute. Let me show you something. X-rays I had made about years ago when he was first taken ill. They're difficult for a layman to understand, but I'll explain them to you. Look. See here? That's the brain. There's a growth. You see it? That white spot?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that presses on the nerves that control the movements of the body. It keeps on growing and pressing harder and harder.
What if it were removed, Doctor?
Can't be without Jim dying.
I'm not so positive that Jim can't be cured.
Yeah, you better stick to aviation, even if you did crash. I mean, what a few of the best brain specialists say.
It wasn't so long ago they said that pernicious anemia was fatal.
Yeah, now here, listen to this. Dr. Robert Fletcher. Here it is. It is technically impossible to remove such a growth from the pons. That's the medical name for that portion of the brain. Without injury to the respiratory nerves, resulting in death to the patient. Yeah, here's another article on the same subject. Never read this one before, but it'll say the same.
No doubt.
An address given before the Medical Association by Dr. John Mandray. Contrary to universal opinion, it is my contention...
Perhaps you're right, Doctor. I think you don't need to read any further.
Just a handyman with bandages, huh?
Well?
Well, I'm not asking any questions. As far as the personal life of anyone, unless it happens to do with his digestion, means nothing to me. You want to throw your name away and take another, that's up to you. But you can't take all your knowledge, all your experience that might save a life.
toss it in the wastebasket?
Because it don't belong to you. It belongs to all of us.
I feel precisely as I did then, that this removal can be accomplished without death to the invalid.
I agree with you. If the necessary recuperative vitality is present in the patient. Doctor, Jim is going to be saved.
I knew you'd see it that way. I suggest you operate as soon as possible.
I'm not going to be the one to operate, Doctor. You are.
No, I couldn't.
You're afraid? You'll get over it. You're going to operate.
No, I'm not.
Why doesn't he bring Wolf back? He's my dog, not his. What's he want here? Sometimes I'm frightened. Frightened at the way you look at him.
Oh, he's had a lot of trouble, and I'm sorry for him, that's all.
Trouble? What about me? Oh, Peg, you've been like a right arm to me, and
Nothing. I'll always be your right arm, Jim. Just as long as you need me.
for the rest of my life, Peg.
I told John I was going to keep after him until he operated. You got to help make him, Sam.
I gotta think. So you ain't an aviator at all. Seems like maybe the hand of God brought you here. Or maybe the devil, I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Just thinking. I'm gonna talk straight. I'd give anything to have Jim walk again. To see him swing an axe like he used to. I know he's dying up there like a tree that rots with every storm. That ain't the way for a man to die at all. What I want to know is there a chance to save his life?
There is. A slight chance, but a real one. But only if Dr. Mandre operates.
Mandre? Oh, yes.
Stop this, will you? I can't stand it. Now, once and for all, I am not going to operate.
That ain't for you to say. You're going to operate. You hear? And if you won't, I know why. You got it in your mind that if Jim's cured, Peg will marry him.
Oh, that's it, Doc. That's why you won't operate.
My son's dying up there. And if you won't lift a hand to save him, to me it's just as if you helped to murder him.
You forget what I once went through. But I haven't. I haven't forgotten. Left wounds in me that nothing can cure. Destroyed my whole life. And now that I found a new one, you want me to chance it again.
John, the pattern's all very clear now. This is the reason you came here. There's no other answer.
Peg, please don't force me to do this. Don't ask me to. You forget that I operated on a man once with this same disease. He died.
You told me he didn't die of the operation. I believed you then, and I believe you now.
Ah, but why risk his life? He's still alive.
So's a branch withering on a tree. I'm going up and tell Jim you're going to operate. At 9 tonight. Doc, you and Peg get everything ready.
It's an opportunity to vindicate yourself.
I still say no.
You got till 9 o'clock to say yes. So, son, tonight might start a new life for you. He's going to operate at 9 o'clock. I just know. But don't ask me how. But you're coming out of this all right.
I don't want to be operated on.
It ain't like you. You ain't scared, are you, Jim?
If you mean of dying, no, I'm not scared at all. It's something else.
What else could there be?
Peg, that's what else. You might think I'm crazy wanting to sit up here in this wheelchair, being put to bed like a baby, but with all that, I've gotten something I've always wanted. Peg. She's near me when I want to talk to her and when I want to see her.
Jim, you don't know what you're saying.
Yes, I do. Sitting up here alone has given me plenty of time to think. Sometimes that's all I do. For hours that take longer to pass than any on a clock. When I kid myself and say that Peg loves me, I know that inside of me I'm lying. She's sorry for me, that's all. Sorry.
Oh, you sort of got me tongue-tied. I can't believe that a man, any kind of a man, would want to have a hold on a woman because she's sorry for him.
You've never waited for years. Never burned up all inside waiting for someone to touch your hand. Oh, maybe before I wouldn't have worried so much about it, but things are different now. I've got a hold on her she'll never break. This arm and this wheelchair.
What's different now?
He, that doctor, that man you want to operate on me, he wants Peg like I do.
Jim, you ain't the son I once had. You always fought fair and square on your own 2 feet, giving nothing and asking nothing.
Oh, what's that got to do with this?
This is your chance to get up on your feet and fight for what you want. Well, this doctor fella's no different than you, except he can walk. I ain't gonna say any more now. We'll be ready at 9 o'clock. If you're willing.
I'm going up to tell Jim we're ready.
Peg, you know I'd do anything in the world for you, don't you? But I'm sorry, but I'm not going to operate.
You bet you're not going to operate. You've come from the outside to take the only bit of happiness I've had. You think you can pay me for it by killing me? Well, I know what's in your mind. You'd like to kill me, wouldn't you? Because I want to live, I want to keep what's mine. I want to live.
Jim. You must save him. This is your chance to prove that all you've been saying about doctors and saving lives aren't just words. It's not only his life, John, but yours.
I'll try.
right to me. I need some sleep, Sam. So do you.
I knew you'd see this through, Doc.
The coffee's ready downstairs. Well?
Can't tell you.
Look. His right arm. Oh. Oh, John, you're marvelous.
No hope for her now.
Pass is open. Every spring it's the same. Shoving off in the morning. I hope when I get back, Jim will be up on his legs again.
Thanks, Yukon. Nearly a month since the operation, and, well, he ain't any better.
Those things take a long time, Sam.
Have a good trip.
Thanks. So long.
Speak to me, Jim. Say something. Anything. He tried to speak to him, but couldn't.
How do you feel, Jim? Hey, I can't understand this complication of speech paralysis.
He's worse now than he's ever been. It's a strange way to find it out, but I love him, John. You must do something.
I will, Peg. If it's humanly possible, he'll be cured.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, John.
Don't move.
Why? Well, you're cured.
Come here.
And walking.
And talking too.
Then it worked. The technique is a success. Jim!
It will be now that I'm putting the finishing touches to it. Only one thing more and my cure's complete. That's for you to get out. The pass is open, you're going out on it and never come back.
What is this? Are you insane?
Determined, that's all. Write what I tell you.
But Jim...
Right. Dear Peg. Go on, get started. Dear Peg, this may sound like a coward's action, but I'm running away.
But I'm not running away.
You're going to get out of here before morning. Now, we haven't got time to talk. Go on and write. I never should have operated. I nearly killed him instead of curing.
How are you going to make anyone believe that? Are you going to spend the rest of your life in that chair?
No, but I'm going back for a little while. And after you're gone, I'll take some of Doc Brady's medicine. Then I'll be cured. He'll get the credit for it, not you. Go on and write. It's all my fault that...
But you're not cured. You're working on your nerve. I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your hands. The way your knuckles are pressing around that gun. Look at your hands, Jim. Look at your hands. Jim. Jim, why are you doing this? Come on.
When you use that knife on me, you cut something inside of me. I've suffered more in these last few weeks than I've ever suffered from any pain. Why didn't you leave me up there in that chair alone, the way I was?
There now, Jim. What's come over you?
I know why you wanted to operate. To take Peg from me. You weren't fooled for a moment that the only feeling she had for me was sympathy. By curing me, you thought you could even take that.
I know what you've been through, Jim. Nerves tight to the breaking point. But believe me, now it's your imagination.
No, it can't be. It wasn't my imagination when I saw her kissing you beside my bed.
Beside your bed? She did. But do you know why, Jim? Because she thought I'd cured you. Because she was happy. Because she loves you.
In love with me? You're crazy.
Did you ever ask her?
No. Well, how about you? You and Peg.
All I can say is I envy.
Me and Peg. Now I can walk just like anybody. Because of you. You're a pretty rotten guy.
No. Just a sick one. That's all.
Give anything to hear old Doc Brady when he laces into those doctors down there, telling them the world is round.
I'll never be able to thank him enough. Kind of wish he'd stayed longer.
He doesn't belong here. His world isn't bound by snow and forest.
Good morning, Dr. Henry.
Good morning, Gertrude. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, John.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Ellen. How are you today? Tony, how are you? Good morning,
Oh, it's great having Dr. Mandray back, isn't it, Tony? Great, Beth. Oh, you're happy, Tony.
You bet you're my life.